This is Ianai's Ia, perhaps for the third time this week. If you missed the two previous parts, perhaps you'd like to check them out before coming back to the last video of this little saga. So far, I've sketched and then digitalized it to make it into a proper illustration. So this time I'll show you a little of how I animated it to consolidate it all into a proper MV. I used After Effects, and I know it can look intimidating if you don't know what anything is about, but don't worry, this is not a tutorial or anything of the sort. So first of all, this part might look familiar, because the first thing I animated was the blinking. No fancy or strange animation methods, just simple and bold frame-by-frame techniques in my usual illustration program. So I just duplicated each of our characters and edited on top to change the face of the eyes. I also thought of using this method to animate the cat, kind of moving the tail from time to time, or something like that, but in the end I forgot. After that, it was time to export. I needed the background to be independent from the characters, because I would animate the blinking, and at first I thought I could make all the lighting layers work out, exporting them together, but that didn't work. It just messed up the effects and colors that I'd previously chosen, so instead I exported every layer separately and fixed up blending modes, which are, to say in a way, the way colors interact with each other throughout layers. And I also adjusted the opacity the same way I had in the original illustration file. Having done that, I moved on to the animating of the blinking. Started with my own character, because it's more comfortable, you know, if it looks funny or I screw something up, at least it's not I. I played a little with the amount of frames, meaning the length that each individual image should have for it to look natural, and then gathered them all in pre-compositions. Something like putting them into a folder that I can then duplicate and move around, which is what I did so the characters kept on blinking throughout the duration of the song. Then I repeated the same thing for I, having already figured out the right length for each step of the blinking. It's a very subtle and simple animation, but I like how such a small detail can make a static illustration look a little more alive. Next thing, with stars. I used an effect called fractal noise, and the help of some tutorials, because I still don't know it all, and then made them smaller, set them to add so they would highlight more, and added some glow effect for some extra sparkle. And then I animated that glow effect so that they would highlight even more around the climax of the song, like the beat drops and it's all, yes. Anyway. Right after, I added a little shooting star, because, you know, the magic is in the little details. It looked weird, because I'd covered the buildings I drew in the original illustration, so the sky just wasn't looking like a sky, but some stars or things on top of buildings. And I was too lazy to go back and export the background, in different layers, because then I'd have to redo a lot, so instead I made new building shapes in After Effects. Not really a big deal. Then I added some extra squares to resemble the windows in two different colors. Mainly orange. And then animated all of this disappear or to kind of turn off as the song goes on, as if it were becoming late and people, well, normal people, are just going to sleep, you know? It might be 3 AM already. Who knows? Once I was done with the outside, I came back to the inside to work on that projector. First thing was making a circle and blurring it to break the edges or soften them and make it resemble an actual light source. Then I used a very complex looking expression that is probably not even that complex, but I haven't started coding for animation just yet. So yeah, I used it to make the scale of the circle wiggle, or basically grow slightly bigger and smaller randomly. Then I gave it some glow again and set it to add as well. In reality, such a light source would heat and illuminate other objects around it, so I also created new shapes around the borders of objects that would be lit by that light, like the sofa or our bags. Blurred them to help them merge with the image, and then animated the opacity so that it would wiggle a little bit and look like it was actually caused by the projector's light. Once I was done with the overall animation, I added the lyrics of the song and animated them with some presets that After Effects comes with, and used a couple of adjustment layers. Nothing as fancy as it sounds, really. They just allowed me to add specific effects to the whole thing without going layer by layer, thing by thing. And in this case, what I added was a little fade in and out at the beginning of the song and at the ending of the song. Some noise to give it a little bit of an old movie vibe that is so slight that you might not even realize it, but it's there. and a little bit of a lens blur to give a sensation of the camera focusing on us. Well, you know, the edges of the image are a little blurred. And that's it. That's how this very simple video came to be. What did you think of this project? I feel like it was a little of a test to see how it worked and if this sorts of videos have any future. So please do let me know what you think of it. Thank you for watching until here, and don't forget to close your windows and doors, especially if it's winter.
This so fresh, so clean, gonna budge flawless, gonna bother kid.
너니까 다리 날 확해진단다